Hey, Jai here. Hey, I just got off a Zoom call with Sophie Lea from Sophie Lea Photography, and it was incredible. So, if you don't know Sophie Lea, she's a family photographer, she's an educator, she's a mother, she's a wife, she does a lot of things. She's a multifaceted entrepreneur, and she really does inspire me because she shows me what's possible, especially for myself and all the endeavors that I go on. Now, Sophie actually jumped in and did an educator's retreat with me this year. And I did an educator's retreat because I'm creating a course called Course Launcher, and I wanted to test some of the things and make sure that they work out in the world before I recorded a whole course on the thing. And she really took a lot of that framework and she went running with it. In fact, Sophie actually, on her first launch, she did over $200,000 in revenue, which obviously blew my mind. And it's inspired me to show up and do better as well. But just seeing what's possible, like she's already a very successful educator and she hosts retreats, all over the place and does stuff like that. But she wanted to release a course and do more of a coaching program so she can stop selling her time for money and so she can get back to, being there with her family and doing her photography and all the other things that she loves and not always have to be stressed about where's the next paycheck. So it's really interesting. And I want you to stay to the very end because she gives away some really practical tips, especially if you're thinking about launching a course sometime soon or in the near future, or if you're thinking about doing coaching or any other kind of education. I think this is really going to inspire you. And seeing someone like Sophie showing up and blowing up and doing all the things, yeah, it's inspiring. All right, Sophie, good to have you here. Hey, could you introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Sophie from Sophie Lea Photography. I've been a photographer for 20 years, and I specialize in babies and kids and families, just the whole family journey. But more importantly, I'm a mum of three and a wife, and yeah, just juggling both and trying to do my best at all of it. I've
Wow.
been, yeah, in the education space in photography for about 3 years, 3, 4 years. And yeah,
Tell
that's me.
me, I know for you, like you are literally a full-time mum, full-time business owner, and pretty much a full-time educator as well. Like, how does it go juggling all these different things and adding something onto your plate?
Yeah, so I think like anything, it's almost like when you have go from one child to having two, there's a rocky period each time you add things, and there's an expansion that happens. And then you find your new normal, and you kind of get to a point where you feel at
Mm,
least some ease. But there's an expansion and it takes time. So I really correlate taking on more with work to almost adding children to our family. Each time we've had to make changes, we've had to ask for help, we've had to ask for assistance, both in our family life and in the business as well. And so it comes with growing pains, but
mm,
you find a balance each time. So now we're at a point where my husband works part time so that he can do a lot of the logistics with the kids because I really wanted to add more with work. And I was home heavily when the kids were really little. So we've kind of done a bit of a role switch. And for now, it works. And we kind of just keep our priority as to what's best for the family at each stage of our life. And right now, this is what works for us.
do you feel like I know you've been doing retreats and a lot of cool things for a long time? And I know that you're getting into more the digital space of coaching and stuff. Do you feel like this path for you is going to help you get more time back for your kids and your family?
100%, yeah, and that was always the goal. I definitely wanted to take the time to build the brand, take the time to build the experience, find out exactly what it was I wanted to deliver and what was needed.
Mm,
Because I think sometimes we can get caught up in what we think is what's needed, but it's not always right. So that was a journey for me, going out and meeting people in person, face to face. But that, in the long term, isn't as sustainable with a family. I was this last sort of 18 months, I've been away a lot, and it's worked. It's been great. I've loved being there, but it's definitely taken a hit in terms of where the kids are at in their life. And I have felt that pull to be around with them more as they grow and as they need their mum. They need we've switched the corner from being keeping children alive to little kid land, to being their guide, and they really do want to debrief with me most days, if not multiple times a day, And I want to be around for that. So digital space is allowing me to, I mean, you're my last appointment today, and then I just go home and I'll be there when they get home from school.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Mm.
Hey, so can you walk me through, like, before we worked together this year, I know when you came to the retreat, we were talking a lot about where you were at with your retreats, which were super successful.
Yeah.
And how did you feel in that moment with going forward with basically with new options of what you could be doing?
Yeah. Look, it had been in my pipeline, in my plan for a long time. However, whenever you look at something new, it's so scary. It's really scary. And I felt that my in-person events had, and I know I said this to you, my
Mhm.
in-person events had so many elements, not just me. It
Yeah,
was
so much magic.
so much magic, and it had, a champagne in the hand and a big hug, and it was so much experience was layered on top. And in a way, almost you could hide behind elements of that because you're giving advice, which is a really big thing. And it's a very heavy thing because you're always wondering as an educator if you really hope that you're genuinely helping people. That's always the thing. I'm like, I hope that what I give to the audience or to the people at an experience like that is worth something for them. And I think taking it online, I was nervous because it felt so permanent. And
Mm.
I thought, wow, so people can rewatch this and dissect this, and they're really listening to every word. Whereas I think the stats on in-person stuff is people take away like 20% of what's said.
Totally.
So whereas online, you've got access to that, you can rewatch, and I just wanted it to be right. And so it felt scarier to me. And it felt, if that was not the right place for me to go. I felt like it was the natural next progression, but I did have a lot of limiting beliefs around it, whether it
Mm.
was my time. Yeah.
Because I do remember when I was talking to you, and you're like, I don't think I can replicate what I do online, like what I have in person, and it's very different. And we sort of talked it through a little bit, and it's interesting. Sometimes you just need to talk through something, and then you're like, wait, there are other ways that we could create something that's really special. And another thing is, it's not about replacing a retreat at all. Like that's the thing. It's like delivering something completely different and serving in a completely different way, which I find really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I spend way more time with these people online. I
Yeah.
think is nice. And the feedback of getting what they feel is different because there's people in my course that have done retreats and workshops and now they're in here.
Well,
Uh,
that's right. Yeah. So tell me about your course. I know that you went ahead and you did your first launch and everything. Was that scary for you to put together? Did it take a long time? Yeah, tell me about
yeah, wow. It's like my fourth baby.
it.
Like birthing another child. Look, we did have moments where it was just as painful as that. Look, it was a big project. I think the thing is that I realized is that there's so much. I had so many moments of going, bloody hell, this is good on Jai for doing this. I had a lot of
Totally.
respect for anyone that goes into the space. It's a lot more work than you ever think it's going to be in many ways.
Mhm.
In other ways, I think the presenting of information that I'd done leading up to that led me to be able to do that side of it easier than maybe some, I don't know.
Totally.
Um, so just speaking to camera, whole new experience. However, because I've delivered that information over again, that was kind of cool. Learning software. I'm not the most technical person. I'm so glad that I have Ash, who's my full-time employee.
I also just have to say I am terrible at any software and stuff as well. I'm with you.
Yeah. So I was very grateful I had her, but obviously for her too, she'd never even looked at the software. So we kind of did a trial period and we're like, oh yeah, we can get our heads around this, but actually doing it is a whole other thing. So huge learning curve, which also bonds you, doesn't it? Many times of laying on the floor going, oh my gosh, can we really get through this? And we did. And it's time, it's saying no. What I think this is probably the thing where I came unstuck a few times is saying no to what you can sell to free yourself up and
Mm.
gamble on something you've never sold before. And the people that do that and the people that really stick their neck out and are willing to step away from the safe, there are every day that I filmed, I'm like, I know what I could be making today. And instead I'm spending triple that. That was the thing that's the bravery, that's the digging deep and rolling the dice. I wasn't able to take that money home. Was like, I spent that today instead of making it. And when you're the main breadwinner and you've got 3 kids, that's risky. And we just had to stick with it. We had to push forward and build it out. And I knew I wanted it to be great. And I knew that if anyone had been to an experience with me before, that if they logged on, they would feel that same level of service. And we did. And it was great. And a huge, huge relief. But at the end, of course. But yeah, it was character building.
Was the launch everything you hoped it to be and more?
The launch was beyond what I could have expected.
Yeah. Because I
Yeah.
remember you sent me a message on Instagram. And you're like, look how much money I just made. Look how much impact we're making. Look at all the things that's expanding. Like, it was huge.
Yeah. I mean, it's all the nitty gritty. And I think you would have, actually you shared this at the retreat about how you woke up one night and you changed the price of the course.
Mm.
Lots of those sort of moments. Should we, shouldn't we? We made some decisions that were not typical.
Yep.
In space. So we had, access to me, deciding, do we do that for this many months? Do we do it for that many months? What's right? What's the price right? We decided to only take full payment up front. And I really wanted to attract people that were just like really willing to like
Let's
invest.
go all in. Yeah.
Yeah. Which was a risk. And we sold out in 7 minutes, and it was
Wow.
and we've just, yeah. And the wait list is still growing every day. And I could never have thought that would happen on the first one. So we ended up taking just over 100 for our first. We wanted to make sure that we weren't spreading ourselves thin. We wanted to feel
So
what
a
that
100 students,
120 are in there. Yeah.
120 students. And how much was your program?
We did it we had an early bird, which was only supposed to last a day, but we didn't get to the other part of it because it sold out. So it was 199.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Wow.
so it's supposed to be a week-long launch. We had it planned out. We had daily emails that never made it out because it sold so fast. So the first email went out with the link, and I just don't even think people would have had time to read the email. So that was
That's
just
unreal.
shocking. It was just shocking. I don't think it really landed. And then we sort of, yeah, so we took on that amount. And, I think it's still a learning curve. It was still my first
Oh,
time.
yeah.
So I didn't even think that many people would, you know what I mean? So it was
Mm.
sort of like, there's always that, I wonder how many people would have got, like, whatever. But we wanted to control the capacity to see how it all felt. I mean, even that first Zoom, it's like, that's a lot of faces.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure that I was sort of ready. So yeah, we're excited. We're launching again in Jan, and see what happens then.
Wow. It must have felt so amazing to sell out in the first day, like, and it's your first launch ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I was very ready for all scenarios because everyone has such a different experience. And
Mm.
I think definitely like what I've been doing in the last sort of 4 years is definitely like led to, probably had the right
That's right.
ingredients for a great launch. But I
Yeah.
think you just go into that day and you just have confidence some days, and then some days you're like, oh my God, who's going to buy this? I don't know. So yeah, big surprise, very humbling and exciting for us as a team and as a family.
You know what I found really annoying about you actually is when I met you, you couldn't see that you could do that. And that was like something for me. Like for me, it was just like clear. Like I could see it. I was like, man, she better take action on this because I just know you've got a 7-figure business sitting right there and it's going to happen for you. And so like, when sometimes you're just like, hey, just get out of your own way, like push all that stuff to the side and like, let's do something amazing. And you did it. And it was so incredible to watch because it's like, yes,
Yeah.
like it's there,
It was, and I think that's what it was, more than anything, more than strategy, more than
Yes.
hints and tips. I think I remember you said it and then Morgan said it. And I think that belief with someone who's done it, because people
Mm,
around you can be very scared. I had a lot of people telling me not to do an online course, not to water down what I was teaching. They didn't have the same vision I did about, but I can't help people overseas. It doesn't suit me to go over there now with a young family. And there's people that
totally.
can't service, and there's people at home that are, breastfeeding and can't leave their kids for an overnight retreat that I can't access, and they can't access me. And so there was lots of naysayers, but then there was also a lot of people that I guess had seen evidence that I'm a hard worker, and they're like, you'll work it out. But it's not the same as someone who's done it that says, this is what I can see for you.
Mm,
And that was probably the biggest takeaway from the retreat. I came back thinking, okay, well, if Jai's built something similar and he's saying that almost you'd basically, not so many words, you'd be stupid not to do this. I thought, okay, well,
let's do it.
do it. Yeah.
You know,
Felt
so it's context, and I learned this a long time ago, and it's the same thing I'm looking for all the time. It's like someone could tell me I could scale my business to $10 million if I want to, but unless they've done it, I don't listen, because if they've done it, the context is it's like, oh, they've done it before. And so they actually know. And so then it lands completely differently. And I listen to that advice and it instills confidence in me. So it's sort of the same as like if you get someone that's teaching how to grow Instagram following and they got 200 followers, opposed to someone that's got like 2 million, so the context changes. Even though they're giving away the same information, you listen to the person that has done the thing that you want. And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah. And I think just, that was, and then I remember when Morgan came to film, he said it too. And he's like, Jai says that you, I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. I thought, yeah, okay. All right. Well, I think then if I didn't do it, I'd regret that. And I'd wonder if they were right.
Mm. And if it's right there. So with that launch, and for anybody out there that's sort of like in the similar position as yourself, maybe they're hardworking mums, they're juggling a lot of plates, they've got a lot of things going on. Um, what would you say for them would be the biggest tip going forward into something like this?
Yeah, I would be either listening to what your audience wants from you or asking them. Spend time with the people that you would be your target market. So depending on what niche you're in, is spending time, ask questions, think about what they need and what support they need in getting, whatever it is that you are helping them with. I would practice the delivery, whether that's, to whatever scale, whether that's just a small group. I started doing one-on-ones in COVID, and that really helped me build out my retreat content. And then my retreat content helped me build out my course content. So I think
Wow.
that's a really great way to do it. I just think to myself, okay, if you were a florist and you were creating a course, like hiring a community center and doing some free courses like during the week, just to go, okay, what helped, what didn't? Because I think what's helped me a lot is that it's sometimes the small things. When you've been doing something for so long, you can skip the detail, and the detail could be a whole module. But you
Yes.
skipped it if you didn't go out and spend time with people who are just starting. So I think getting to know what it is that you can offer, and practicing the delivery, and remembering that everything can be improved and everything can be redone and everything can be relaunched and repackaged and done again. But starting is
The most
the
important
that's
thing.
going to give you the momentum for the next. So now we're re-recording some things, we're adding some things, like even next week I'm adding to the course. We're constantly asking for feedback from the people that are in there, which then helps me deliver better for them while they're still there, and then more for the next. So taking on feedback is always, throughout all the things I've done in business, has been the biggest thing. My clients have built my photography business, and my education clients are building this. So definitely asking always for feedback. You've got to build a thick skin. And just, I think anything that you can do. Okay, so if your goal is, okay, in a year's time, I want to launch a course, or in 2 years' time, I want to launch a course, thinking about what you can do today to make that launch amazing. So it's building audience, building your brand. I mean, brand building is the most important thing now. And it's branding that helps you price yourself. So I believe when there is a market that is competitive, like photography, the only thing that's going to make you set your price above many others is your brand. It's your perceived value,
Your
what people say about
reputation, all
your
that kind of stuff.
reputation.
Yeah.
So whilst you might be at home with your little kids, not ready to do it right now, or not ready to go and film stuff right now, what can you do from your home to build your brand, build your reputation, and create an audience so that one day you can sell them something?
I love that so much. There was so much value in that. So thank you so much, Sophie. Hey, I'm gonna get out of here. I want to say a big thank you. I'm so blown away by everything that you've done. And I know it's just the beginning. And that's the cool thing, you know. So it's like you can be impressed by day one of, like you said, it's like 4 years to lead up to day one of your launch, but you do it and do it again and do it again. And it's only going to grow from here. So it's just the beginning.
Thank you so much, Jai. Thanks for your encouragement. And yeah, for believing in me and showing me the mirror that I needed to buy it. And I'm very grateful for that.
Epic.